Yesterday was a bit of a whirlwind. I actually did a full 10-hour stream, working my butt off to actually finish an entire game of Victoria 3 from beginning to end. It's pretty obvious by the final hour of the game, I was starting to lose my mind as the game was slowing down to a crawl. I deliberately had to force myself to avoid pausing the game just so I wouldn't be streaming until the 20-hour mark. That's when the questions as to why it took so long came up. The same questions I've been contending with endlessly whenever I tell people that every single playthrough video I've done until January 1st, 1936 takes about an average of 10 to 12 hours to play through. Even with my recently upgraded computer, the slowdown is inevitable, because unless you're actively running a supercomputer, your CPU, even if it's running at a cool 70% like mine was, doesn't have the capacity to deal with the ungodly endgame slowdown. I've gotten so used to the unfortunate slowdown that I've gotten into the habit of telling people the final 30 years take as long as the first 70 in Victoria 3. It's an adage I created to showcase that yes, this game has severe optimization issues. I sadly can point exactly to where those optimization issues lie, and I sincerely hope they are being addressed in the future patch with the force of a trillion megaton bombs. Why, after all of this time, do I have to finish a game and stare at my population graph in amazement at how horrible the assimilation is in Victoria 3's base game? Even on so-called aggressive assimilation, it is so painstakingly slow that it might as well not even exist. What's worse, if you're a fan of multiculturalism like I am as a warmonger, you had better be prepared for 100 different cultures in every single state. Is it any wonder that I deliberately think that every single time I stream, I should go ethno state just to avoid the multiculturalism slowdown hell? It still doesn't stop the rest of the computer from pulling migration from everywhere else though, forcing my computer to suffer painstakingly just to finish a game. Why is this such an issue in every single Paradox game? Why is optimization such a bad word? Granted, Europa Universalis 4 doesn't really chug along as bad as the other games do, but it still sadly gets bogged down by the revolution, so it might as well feel as painfully slow as the rest. But once more I go back to Stellaris and I think to myself, holy hell, what happened here? I absolutely loathe going past the year 2400 in Stellaris, even with xenocompatibility turned off, and even back in the day when my computer could reasonably be called a supercomputer, the game suffered massively. It got so bad that I often restarted games the moment 2300 rolled around, just because I was so annoyed at the slowdown. Is this the intended way to play Paradox games nowadays? Someone in my stream actually mentioned that finishing a single game of Victoria 3 from beginning till end was so rare that only 18% of people who actually played the game had the achievement for finishing the game. That feels painfully low, especially when you look at other equally long games like Civilization that have a far higher completion rate. Even on quick games, I still remember even newer Civilization games taking around 6 hours to finish up. I think only Civilization 4 and 5 had slowdown issues nearing the endgame anyways. I don't know. I am definitely not an expert, and I am sure there are a lot of moving parts involved that prevent Paradox from even being able to address the slowdown issues facing Victoria 3. I do, however, want to point out there that there is a mod called Yeet Population Fragments that forcefully merges those tiny, pitiful population groups that add zero value to the game into a singular, similar heritage group. I can, by my own experience using the mod in the past, state that it makes the game infinitely faster than what the base game offers. Population needs to be addressed in Victoria 3 more than almost any other system. It honestly doesn't even matter how good every other system shown by the amazing dev diaries is if the endgame still chugs along at a snail's pace because you don't want to address the terrible game's base assimilation levels. Anyhow, I just wanted to get this off of my chest. I hope you're still enjoying Victoria 3 in spite of it all, and always remember, Hail Hydra Cat.